Archaeologists are baffled by what Puma Punku was, how it looked, and what the purpose of this enormous structure would have been.
For decades, Puma Punku has defied explanation. Massive stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, cut with angles so precise they look machine-made. And at the center of it all are the infamous H-Blocks, perfectly symmetrical, interlocking like modern industrial components. No tool marks, no margin for error. For years, experts said it was impossible, that ancient builders simply couldn't achieve this level of precision. But now, new high-resolution 3D scans are changing everything. Researchers captured over 12 terabytes of data from every stone. These scans don't just show the only stones, they expose hidden tolerances, microscopic patterns, and construction logic no human eye could ever see before. And what they reveal completely overturns our assumptions about how these blocks were made. Because the truth isn't advanced aliens, and it isn't primitive chisels either. It's something far more unsettling. Before we reveal what the scans uncovered, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because what you're about to see rewrites the engineering history of the ancient world. The impossible precision. Puma Punku isn't a typical ancient site with rough-hewn stones stacked into basic structures. This is a construction project that, according to conventional history, shouldn't have been possible with the tools available at the time. The site uses two main types of stone, softer red sandstone and incredibly tough volcanic andesite. Andesite rates about 6 on the Mohs hardness scale, just below quartz. This means it's exceptionally hard rock, extremely difficult to shape and carve. According to historical records, the Tiwanaku culture that supposedly built Puma Punku had basic stone hammers and perhaps some bronze tools. Trying to carve andesite with these implements isn't just difficult. It's like attempting to cut steel with copper. Technically possible with infinite patience, but wildly impractical at the scale we see here. Yet someone not only carved these stones, they engineered them to precision that rivals modern manufacturing standards. The famous H-Blocks. The H-Blocks represent the pinnacle of Puma Punku's engineering mystery. These massive andesite pieces feature complex shapes that include internal right angles, recessed reliefs, T-shaped slots, and intricate grooves. When positioned next to each other, they're clearly meant to fit together like enormous stone puzzle pieces. What makes them even more remarkable are the channels carved into them where molten bronze was poured to create eye-shaped clamps that locked the stones together. This demonstrates an understanding of metallurgy and engineering that historians didn't believe existed in this region at that time. The scale is equally staggering. The largest stone at Puma Punku weighs approximately 131 metric tons. That's roughly equivalent to 70 full-sized automobiles stacked together. Traditional theories suggest wooden rollers were used to transport these massive blocks. There's a significant problem with this explanation. The site sits far above the tree line, where virtually nothing grows. Any timber would have needed to come from valleys far below, hauled uphill across brutal terrain, just to begin moving these stones. Repeating this process dozens or hundreds of times challenges the credibility of the conventional explanation. Why traditional theories failed for years? The accepted explanation followed a simple narrative. The Tiwanaku people spent countless hours pounding away at andesite with stone hammers, slowly shaping each block. Then they polished the surfaces using sand, water, and tremendous amounts of manual labor. Scientists have tested this method in controlled experiments. It works when creating one small block. The problem emerges when scaling this up to match what we actually see at Puma Punku. Creating one perfect 90-degree corner is one thing. Creating hundreds of tons of identical, interlocking blocks with consistent precision across the entire site is something else entirely. The pace of the primitive method simply doesn't match the immense scale, consistency, and standardized design visible throughout Puma Punku. Either these people had a workforce so enormous it would rival modern construction operations, or a crucial piece of the puzzle was missing. This gap opened the door to alternative theories. One popular idea is the geopolymer, or liquid stone theory. This hypothesis suggests the Tiwanaku didn't carve these stones at all. Instead, they supposedly possessed knowledge of a chemical process that allowed them to dissolve andesite into a liquid slurry and pour it into molds like ancient concrete. This would explain the sharp angles and complex shapes. However, most geologists strongly reject this theory. When examined at the molecular level, the stones show all the characteristics of natural, quarried rock with no evidence of reformation or artificial bonding. Experts found themselves trapped between a traditional explanation that seemed inadequate and fringe theories that lacked scientific support. The Altiplano project and 3D scanning revolution. That's when researchers decided to approach the problem differently. Instead of debating what ancient people could or couldn't accomplish, they launched the Altiplano project, a massive 5-year international effort designed to collect comprehensive data and analyze it objectively. Teams from universities in Bolivia, Germany, Japan, and the United States deployed cutting-edge 3D scanning technology. High-resolution laser scanners mapped over 150 individual stones down to microscopic precision, capturing every surface detail. Ground-penetrating radar searched for buried structures and hidden features beneath the visible ruins. Chemical analysis examined metal traces left on the bronze clamp points. Photogrammetry created precise three-dimensional models from thousands of overlapping photographs. Satellite imaging traced possible quarry routes and ancient pathways. Astronomers investigated potential celestial alignments throughout the site. The 3D scanning effort produced more than 12 terabytes of raw data, essentially creating a complete digital replica of Puma Punku with millimeter-level accuracy. The crucial difference in this approach was its precision. These weren't simple photographs or rough measurements. The 3D scans captured every microscopic tool mark, every subtle angle variation, every weathered surface detail. This level of data allowed researchers to analyze the site in ways never before possible, revealing patterns and techniques that had remained hidden for over 1,500 years. What the 3D scans revealed. When researchers began analyzing the massive dataset from the 3D scans, something extraordinary emerged. For the first time in history, Puma Punku could be digitally reconstructed with absolute precision. For centuries, archaeologists have walked through the scattered rubble, attempting to visualize what the original structures might have looked like. But visualization comes with bias and assumptions. The 3D scan data eliminated guesswork. By comparing thousands of tool marks captured in microscopic detail and matching broken fragments like pieces of the world's most complex jigsaw puzzle, researchers digitally reassembled the site. What emerged wasn't a simple temple or courtyard. According to the 3D reconstruction, Puma Punku was once a massive, multi-level architectural complex featuring a raised platform mound with precise geometric proportions, multiple interior chambers arranged in systematic patterns, connected gateways and corridors forming integrated pathways, an intricate network of precision-carved water channels. The water channels proved particularly fascinating. The 3D scans showed they were carved with such exactness that water would flow through them at specific rates, creating large, shallow pools. These pools were positioned to reflect the night sky, essentially using water as a giant mirror for astronomical observations and ceremonies. This was only the beginning of what the scans revealed. The factory system discovery. The most shocking discovery from the 3D scan data wasn't about appearance. It was about manufacturing process. The scans revealed that Puma Punku wasn't constructed stone by stone, through trial and error or traditional masonry techniques. It was manufactured using a sophisticated system of standardization and prefabrication. The detailed 3D analysis found that 45 of the famous H-blocks were carved from a single master template. The spacing of grooves, the angles, the recesses, all mathematically identical within thousandths of an inch. The 3D scans could measure these tolerances with unprecedented accuracy, confirming that this level of standardization was deliberate, not accidental. This suggests something resembling a factory assembly line, not individual craftsmen working independently. The 3D scanning went further, identifying approximately 19 separate block types that repeat throughout the entire site. By combining these standardized building blocks in different configurations, the builders could create walls, gateways, terraces, and water systems, every major structural element. The scans proved this wasn't guesswork. They could overlay digital models of blocks from different areas of the site and find exact matches down to microscopic surface features. In other words, Puma Punku operated on the principle of modular construction, with interchangeable prefabricated components designed centuries before this concept supposedly existed in human engineering. Mathematical precision encoded in stone. Once the three-dimensional reconstruction from the scan data was complete, researchers began running mathematical analyses across the entire site. Another layer of sophistication emerged: sacred geometry. The 3D measurements repeatedly displayed specific proportions, particularly the ratio 1 to 1.618, known as the golden ratio, or phi. This mathematical constant appears throughout nature and has been used by architects and artists for millennia as an expression of beauty, harmony, and divine proportion. The scan data traced this ratio through doorway heights, slab widths, spacing between gateways, and overall structural proportions. The builders clearly weren't just concerned with structural integrity. They wanted the architecture to embody fundamental mathematical principles. The precision of the 3D scans made this discovery possible. Previous measurements using traditional tools lacked the accuracy to confirm these subtle mathematical relationships. The laser scanning technology could measure distances and angles with millimeter precision, revealing patterns that had been invisible to researchers for generations. An astronomical machine. The 3D scan data was then cross-referenced with astronomical calculations. Previous researchers had identified some alignments with solstices and equinoxes, but the detailed spatial data from the scans revealed something far more sophisticated. The analysis uncovered subtle alignments pointing to specific constellations, polar star paths, lunar standstill positions, and most intriguingly, celestial positions as they would have appeared around the year 536 AD. The conclusion was profound. Puma Punku wasn't merely a ceremonial site. It functioned as a giant astronomical machine, a precision instrument designed to track not hours or days, but celestial cycles spanning centuries. The 3D scans made it possible to measure the exact orientations of walls, gateways, and channels with unprecedented accuracy. When this spatial data was compared against historical astronomical records, the alignments became undeniable. Then the scans revealed something even more disturbing. A cosmic warning system. Using the astronomical alignments and mathematical patterns revealed in the 3D scan data, researchers proposed something unsettling. Puma Punku might have been designed not just to observe the heavens, but to predict catastrophic cosmic events. By analyzing the celestial movements encoded in the site's layout through precise 3D measurements, scientists detected repeating cycles that appeared to point toward rare cosmic disruptions, meteor showers, asteroid debris streams, or cometary returns that could pose threats to Earth. In other words, Puma Punku may have served as an early warning mechanism, recording patterns of cosmic danger and preserving that knowledge for future generations to recognize these recurring celestial threats. The chilling aspect came when the 3D scans analyzed the site's destruction pattern. The detailed spatial mapping showed that the scattered stones don't match typical earthquake damage. The direction and dispersion of debris suggested something far more violent and sudden. Using the precise locations captured in the 3D scan data, researchers calculated the kinetic force required to displace multi-ton blocks across the distances observed. The results were consistent with explosive airbursts or catastrophic flooding events. Essentially, the same type of cosmic disaster the site might have been designed to predict could have been responsible for destroying it. Evidence of lost advanced knowledge. What shook researchers most profoundly wasn't the technology itself. It was the implications revealed by the 3D scan analysis. This wasn't about extraterrestrials or science fiction. The evidence pointed towards something far more significant: a lost human civilization that achieved a level of engineering and astronomical knowledge rivaling what we consider advanced today. The 3D scans documented a culture that existed 1,500 years ago, possibly much older, that demonstrated capability in designing sophisticated modular construction systems with standardized components, creating precision, prefabricated stone pieces with thousandths of an inch tolerance, building complex astronomical tracking instruments aligned to celestial cycles, encoding advanced mathematical principles into permanent architecture, understanding long-term cosmic cycles and their potential dangers. Then this civilization vanished. No gradual decline, no instruction manuals preserved, no obvious successor cultures continuing their methods. The knowledge simply ended, leaving only silent ruins and fragmentary clues that the 3D scans are now helping us decode. A global pattern emerges. What makes the 3D scan findings at Puma Punku truly unsettling isn't just what they revealed in Bolivia. It's the realization that this site appears to be part of a much larger worldwide pattern. Across the globe, we find megalithic sites sharing remarkably similar, impossible characteristics. Machu Picchu in Peru features those famous granite walls fitted together so precisely that inserting even a thin blade between stones proves impossible. No mortar, no cement, just raw stone, fitting with uncanny precision. Built supposedly in the 15th century, much later than Puma Punku, yet the stonework echoes techniques from far older, mysterious sites. Baalbek in Lebanon contains the Trilithon, 3 enormous limestone blocks, each weighing over 800 tons, forming part of an ancient temple foundation. Each block is heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747 aircraft. Nearby lies the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, a single block weighing over 1,000 tons. Modern cranes would struggle to lift it, yet ancient engineers supposedly cut, shaped, and transported it using primitive tools. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey completely upends our understanding of human civilization's timeline. Dated to approximately 11,000 years ago, it predates writing, agriculture, and even the wheel. Yet the site features perfectly carved, T-shaped limestone pillars weighing up to 20 tons, arranged in circular patterns with astronomical alignments and intricate animal carvings. According to textbooks, people of that era were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers without the organization or knowledge for monumental architecture. The Great Pyramid of Giza remains one of the most studied yet least understood monuments in human history. Its base aligns to true north with stunning accuracy of just a fraction of a degree. Constructed from over 2 million limestone blocks, some weighing 15 tons each, transported and positioned with precision that defies the tools we believe the builders possessed. The structure encodes mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, while its layout mirrors the alignment of Orion's belt in the night sky. When examining all these sites together, Machu Picchu, Baalbek, Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids, and Puma Punku, a disturbing pattern emerges. Different continents, different cultures, different time periods, yet the same impossible stonework, the same obsession with perfect geometry, the same astronomical knowledge encoded into architecture. Did these civilizations all independently discover identical knowledge, or are we looking at scattered fragments of something much larger, a global legacy of lost advanced science? The 3D scan data from Puma Punku adds weight to this unsettling possibility. The truth about the H-blocks. The new 3D scans finally revealed how Puma Punku's H-blocks were actually made, not through primitive methods of pounding with stone hammers, as historians long believed. Instead, the scan data documented a sophisticated system of standardized manufacturing, astronomical calculation, mathematical precision, and modular prefabrication that we're only now beginning to understand. The 3D laser scanning captured irrefutable evidence: 45 identical H-blocks carved from a single master template, measured to thousandths of an inch precision. 19 standardized block types combined like construction kit pieces, their dimensions preserved in the digital data. Perfect golden ratio proportions embedded throughout the site, revealed through millimeter-accurate measurements. Astronomical alignments, tracking centuries-long cosmic cycles, confirmed through precise spatial analysis. A factory-level manufacturing system that shouldn't have existed 1,500 years ago, now undeniably documented in over 12 terabytes of 3D scan data. The implications are both remarkable and deeply unsettling. We're not just looking at impressive ancient stonework. The 3D scans have provided evidence of a lost advanced civilization, one that understood engineering and astronomy at levels comparable to our own modern capabilities, yet vanished so completely that only enigmatic stone ruins remain to tell their story. What happened to the builders of Puma Punku? Was it natural disaster, cosmic catastrophe, societal collapse, or something else entirely? The mystery deepens even as the 3D scans reveal some answers. Perhaps that's the most important lesson these ancient stones teach us. Knowledge is fragile, civilizations are vulnerable, and the warnings encoded in geometry might be more relevant to our future than we want to admit. The 3D scans have finally given us the technology to see what our ancestors were trying to tell us. The question now is whether we're wise enough to listen.